And there was this little girl, about 2 years old, sweetest little kid you could ever imagine. Little, beautiful little girl. She's just excited because the pizza guy's here. She's like, pizza guy's here, pizza guy's here, pizza guy's here. And she's doing her little dance. And that kind of cheered me up a little bit. So I give her the bottle of pop, and she's like this, trying to walk into the kitchen. Hey folks, Kid back. Over the years, I've had many different jobs. I was a pool man for a while, pizza delivery. I worked in restaurants. I worked in the cornfields. I worked in factories. I worked at a variety of different jobs. And every job that I went to, I tried to do as many of the occupations in the place that I worked at. So this way here, I could not only feel like I was more valuable to the company, but I actually was, because I could do any job that I was able to do in there. But I've always had a knack for having fun at work. With my sense of humor, just, it only came natural. So here's a few things that I've done and had happen while I was working. I figured I'd share it with you guys and give you guys a little bit of a laugh and hope that you can have some fun at work as well. The first job I'm going to talk about is when I worked as a pool installer. We were running in between installations, like we had, one installation was just about done, and we had to wait for a couple weeks for the people to, get their stuff together so that we can go in there and put the next pool in. So we were helping with maintenance. And while, vacuuming the pool, testing the water and all that other stuff, while I was at this one place, this mother and her daughter were out into the pool area, and there's like toy sharks everywhere. Like you could tell this little girl was infatuated with sharks. And I have a patch of psoriasis, just a small patch of psoriasis on the back of my left leg. And when it gets itchy, sometimes it bleeds. But there's one day I'm sitting there at this lady's house, and I'm vacuuming the pool and getting it all ready and stuff like that. They're having a party that weekend. And this little girl, bless her heart, she made me laugh so hard. She saw the patch of psoriasis on the back of my leg, and she says, "Mister, did you get bit by a shark?" Well, I'm sitting there just trying not to laugh. I'm just losing it because of how sweet this little girl was. And her mom was getting ready to say, "You shouldn't be asking that kind of stuff." When I turned around to her, I said, oh yeah, I got bit by a shark, but I don't taste very good, so he spit me back out." So the mother just about lost her pitch. She was laughing so hard. She was just losing it. And the little girl was like, "You're very lucky you don't taste very good." So another job that I had that had some fun with was pizza delivery. Now, I used to do pizza delivery when I worked at the factory just for extra money and some fun. And I got off work at 3 o'clock, and I had gotten blamed for something that I didn't do, and the boss ripped me up a good one. And I was like, I didn't do it. You find a person who did. I'm not going to tell you who it was, And so it didn't put me in the best of moods, and I had to be at the pizza delivery place in like a half an hour. It took 20 minutes to drive home. Well, just by luck, it just happened to be tractor day. So every tractor in the county is in my way. And so that didn't make me any happier. So I show up to work late, I get dressed, and right as soon as I get my uniform on and everything like that, there's a delivery for me. I just wanted to be able to relax and just, for a few minutes anyways, and then go up and do a delivery. But I had to do this one right away. So I grab it and I punch it in and I head off to the place, and I'm still not happy. I get there, get out, and it was like a pizza, a cheese stick, and a 2-liter bottle of pop. And I show up to the door, The guy answers the door, and I'm like, how you doing today? Hungry, I hope, as I hand him his food. And there was this little girl, about 2 years old, sweetest little kid you could ever imagine. Little, beautiful little girl. She's just excited because the pizza guy's here. She's like, pizza guy's here, pizza guy's here, pizza guy's here. And she's doing her little dance. And that kind of cheered me up a little bit. So I give her the bottle of pop, and she's like this, trying to walk into the kitchen. And then I do the transaction with the father. Well, just as I'm handing him the pizzas and he's handing me the money, this little girl, I find out that she has a twin sister. And I also find out that she was in the bathtub. Because not only she came out dripping wet, she was still naked. And she's all doing her dance. Oh, pizza guy's here, pizza guy's here. And I'm trying not to laugh to make things worse for the guy. And he's just embarrassed. Like, he turned about as red as my shirt. And he's like, oh, I bet this happens a lot. And I said, yeah, usually they're a whole lot older. And the guy just starts laughing. And he goes, yeah, I keep the change. It was like a $5 tip. He goes, I keep the change. Get out of here. So I take off. And that cheered me up for the rest of the day. Another job that I had was when I was a restaurant cook. I got this job at the beginning of December. They invited me to their Christmas party for that year, and I was like, cool, you know. And about a week later, they promoted me from janitor to cook. And while I was in training, this one guy, Rob, I'm not going to say his last name. This one guy, Rob, he was one of those kind of guys that thinks he's all that in a bag of chips, and meanwhile he's not anywhere as close to what he thinks he is. And I went to school with this guy, and he says to me one day when he was training me, he says, Corey, I think I finally figured it out. And he's all serious, and I'm like, oh yeah, what's that? And he goes, how to cut onions, no tears. I'm like, I might need to know how to do this. I says, let me get my the bathrooms done, do my quick little run around the bathrooms. I'll come back and I'll help you get some onions done. And he goes, yeah, but you got to cut the heads and the tails off it and peel them. You got to peel me some onions. So I went back there and I peeled a 50 bag of onions, or a 50-pound bag of onions, and got them all laying out there on the work table. And I said, now don't start anything until I get back. And he's like, yep. So I run, I do the bathrooms, clean up my hands and stuff like that. And I come back, and to get into the back kitchen, you had to go through this door, you had to make this little jaunt like this, to go down this little hallway where the cooking kit, like where the plating kitchen is, and the dishwasher area is, and then there was like a little jaunt like this to get into the prep kitchen area. Well, I get around that little jaunt where the prep kitchen area is, and I see this fool working away. And I drop to my knees, and then all you could hear in the entire restaurant is me laughing my butt off. The manager comes from like 300 feet away from behind a closed door. She comes out, and she's wondering what the hell all this noise is all about. And I'm just sitting there on the ground, just rolling. I'm dying. I'm laughing so hard. She takes one look at Rob, and he's standing there at the meat slicer with onions in the meat slicer, going, and then the juice is going like this. He's got tears rolling down his eyes, and she just blows up at him, and she's laughing her head off. And while she's blowing up at him, turn that damn thing off. So, and it took us a month to get the smell of onions out of that kitchen, and to this day, I still laugh about that. Anytime I'm slicing an onion, I still laugh about that. It still kills me. And that happened like 30 years ago. Yeah, imagine the impression that left on me. And the thing about it is I go to school. I went to school the next day, and every time I saw him, I'd just bust out laughing again. And everybody kept asking me, why do you keep laughing at him when you see him? And then I tell him, and in 3 days it took. And I didn't mean for this to happen, but 3 days it took for him to get teased so bad, he not only quit school, but he left the province. Like he went out west. Like, I'm out of here. I didn't mean for that to happen, but when he did that, I just couldn't stop laughing. Another set of jobs I had is factory work. I worked at various different factories, and a lot of things happen in factories. And in this one particular factory I worked at, people would always, for some strange reason, try to manipulate what I say to make me look like a bad guy, make me look like I don't know what I'm doing or don't know what I'm saying, or to make fun of me. And I'm like, no, that ain't happening. Like, I went to this one place with a friend of mine, and I met Bob Clark, who was Lee Iacocca's right-hand man for Chrysler here in Canada. And most of the parts that we built were for Chrysler. So basically, I met the guy who helped create the job that I have. So I was like, cool. I met the guy who's an awesome guy. And when I went back to work the next day, I was telling everybody about it, and they're like, in about 2 hours, they come around saying, hey, I hear you're flying planes for Lee Iacocca. And I'm like, we're on midnights, working from 11 o'clock at night until 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, listen, if I was smart enough or talented enough to fly a plane, do you think I'd be working here with you on midnights for a tenth of the wages? I don't think so. And another time I was at water skiing with my uncle, and I saw a fish eating the seaweed. And I was like, oh, that is so cool. Well, I was at water skiing. So at 35 kilometers an hour, I see this fish, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Nature, I go on and tell people about it at work. 2 hours later, it come back that I caught that fish. I'm like, oh, yeah, I just dunked my head in there. I went, goody goo goo, So, people just didn't give me the credit that I deserved. And repeating the stories as I said them. Another fun thing that happened at that factory was I was one of the senior operators, and it was my job to train the next batch of employees that came in. So my supervisor and I told my supervisor, I said, hey, if they're not getting it, or if they just don't, I don't think that they just don't want to work. Like, if I think that they just don't want to work, or just, trying to pass their job off on somebody else, if they're really lazy, or if they're just like, not smart enough, got the intelligence of watered plants, you need to water them twice a day, then I said, I'm going to send them back to you. And they're going to be looking for something really strange. And that's your cue to tell them to either smarten up, pay attention, learn properly, or get the hell out. And like I trained well over 100 people there, and it was only about 10 or so people that, I just, no, we're not doing this. You're going to get something really weird. I've sent people on a mission to go to the basement in this single floor factory. Told them to go to the basement and get me a left-handed monkey wrench. It doesn't exist. I've sent people to go get me the part stretcher. Again, doesn't exist. But the one that my boss thought was like over the top. Like when this person came up to my boss, and you can imagine, my boss is sitting there, doing her work, trying to get her work done for the day in her office, and somebody comes up knocking on the door asking where the basement is, where the elevator to the basement is, so that they can go get the checkered paint, the checkered spray paint. When she heard that, she just let that person go, came up to me and said, you're an idiot. But we always had fun. We always had fun. Like we'd go out for drinks afterwards sometimes at work, like after we were done our shift and stuff. And we'd sit there and laugh and have fun, and just, we were she was good that way. And she always gave me, the reasonable job, jobs that she knew that I liked and knew that I could do. Another time I had this sub-in supervisor who was an idiot. he put me on this job, and it was a hot job, and in the plant, I was the one who made the most parts on that anyways. So, and I liked the job. It was, you weld these two pieces together, and then you put this hose on it, you leak test it, and you're done. So, they needed a whole lot of these in a hurry. So they put me on this job because they knew I could fill the order. So, in between the 2 hours of break, like the start of the day and the first break is 2 hours. Now I always go outside for a smoke when every hour. And everybody in the plant knew that. So I go out for a smoke, and there's this idiot, he's coming in from his smoke, and he's like, where the hell do you think you're going? The parts you're on are hot. I said, well, I'm going outside for a smoke. And he goes, no, you're not. You need to get them parts. You need to get as many of them parts done as you can. And I said, well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to go back to if I have to go back to the line right now to do those parts, I'm going to let the machine catch up to where I'm at. And then you're only going to get what the machine's going to give me. Otherwise, I'm going to go for a smoke, and I'm going to continue on my day the way I normally do it. When he went over to my welder and saw the count that I had already done in an hour, he came out to where I was having a cigarette, and he says, yeah, I'm going to leave you alone from now on. I was like, well, that's a good plan. Another time I was outside having a cigarette in between breaks, and I had gotten all my work done. I was on fans that day, and all you had to do was just trim these fans, and the robots were putting 180 fans in a box, and you had to trim all the flash off of it. So I get done my parts, and all the bins are like only about half full, and it takes about 4 hours to fill, or 3 or 4 hours to fill a box. So I'm like, I got quite a bit of time, so I just went outside for a smoke. So I'm out there having a cigarette, and this engineer who thought he was better than he was, and he was basically brand new. He'd only been there for about a week. This engineer comes walking up to me and started acting like he was all that in a bag of chips, and he was the boss. And I was like, what do you think you're doing out here? And he's only about 20 years old, and I'm about 35. And I just looked at my cigarette, and I'm like, oh my God, this thing's on fire. Maybe I had to extinguish it by sucking the air out of the flames. Nope, that didn't work. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode, folks. The fun that I've had at work has made me laugh and made my working life a whole lot more enjoyable. I just hope that this inspires you to have a little bit of fun at work, within the bounds. Don't like play stupid pranks on people or nothing like that, but just have some fun and make your day go by a little better. The faster your day goes by at work, the less work you feel like you're actually doing. So have a nice day, folks. Much love to everybody. Hey gang, just a friendly reminder here. Don't forget to like Give Me the Fonzie. Share with all your friends and neighbors and anybody you think could use a laugh. Leave a comment below, whether you like my material or whatever. Tell me how I'm doing as a channel. Don't forget to subscribe, because that really helps out my channel. Helps my channel grow and get through the algorithm. If you're interested in my material, maybe you check out some more of my stuff that I have available. And don't forget to ring the ding dong for this ding dong. Have a great day, folks.